Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash, Season 6. So we're heading into the final third of this season, which is pretty crazy, saying, like, it only feels like yesterday the season started. But anyway, with this, going to this final third of the season, I'm sure this will bring, us thrills, chills, and, maybe some spills, who knows. But one thing we should 100%, to expect is some setup, as well as some possible shakeups heading into the already confirmed Season 7 of The Flash, which will of course hit our screens later this year in October. Now with this, you would expect a twist or two with what's going on with Barry Allen or The Flash, maybe something with a character on the side like Iris, Caitlin or Cisco, or something that I always like to hope to see at least, and that is of course a villain tease. Or just a straight up villain reveal, one of the two. But even though we are only in the week of the 14th episode of this season, with only 8 or so episodes to go after this until the season wraps up, we have started to get news about next season of The Flash, which heavily indicates that some shakeups to the show that are going to go down that might be liked but also hated, so I'm intrigued. But of course, throughout the video, be sure to let me know all of your opinions in the comments section down below. What do you think of what's going on here? Are you a fan? Do you have any theories? Do you think certain things are going to play out the way I might, suggest they might? Let me know all of your opinions in the comments section down below. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video and you just want to show your support, why not drop a like in the video to show that support and I guess potential excitement? I have no idea. So the first thing to go over is the upgrading of the character of Chester P. Runk, played by Brandon McKnight, to a series regular for Season 7 of The Flash. Now, this news came out a couple of days ago, or a few days ago from when this video will eventually go out, but I was holding it until some other stuff came out, so it wasn't like oh, he's upgraded, that's the video. So yeah. But this news really shouldn't come as too much of a surprise after he stuck around after episode 1 of this season. Funnily enough, the best character to compare to Chester 2 in regards to the way his character has played out and stuck around on the show is actually Felicity Smoke on Arrow. Some of you might disagree, but I think that's the best comparison. Now, by the sounds of it, Chester was kept on the show past episode 1, thanks to Brandon's take on the character and how people responded to it, and I guess mainly Eric Wallace, the showrunner, and that is very in line to the whole situation that happened with Felicity and Emily Bett Rickards. Sure, they might have had plans to include him in certain things going forward already, or bring him back in some way, but by the way things have been worded by a couple of people, it does seem like that his first impressions on set were a big factor in him staying on the show. And I guess even now, just the fact that he's popping up again heavily indicates that he was always going to stick around anyway. Now, the big thing with Chester coming in is, well, it's not really the fact that they're making it super clear on the show. It's just that he's very similar to another character on the show. So with this announcement that he's been up to a series regular, this has obviously started the whole is Cisco leaving discussion again, which I think is warranted. So the thing with Cisco and Chester is that they pretty much serve the same purpose. Like, we even saw Chester in the last episode doing Cisco things like what Cisco would normally do in an episode. We saw Chester do it, and even Chester's got the humor side of things where Cisco is. Like, Cisco is usually that comedic relief on the show, and Chester was sort of that comedic relief in last episode as well when Cisco wasn't there. Obviously, Cisco comes back in this week's episode. Don't know if Chester will be there, so they might try and keep them away from each other because they are similar. That's usually the best thing to do, but they might have him in one episode towards the end of the season. We'll have to wait and see how they decide to schedule it all, whether they share episodes or not. Like, for me personally, I think a lot of you guys might agree, Cisco is I think easily the most beloved character on the show outside of Barry, but even with some people, they might prefer him over Barry. So for him to leave the show would be a big thing, and I think the character that would be, quote unquote, replacing Cisco in that situation would have a tough time trying to grip with fans, because they would always be seen as that Cisco replacement rather than their own character. Like, they won't be seen as a Cisco, Caitlin, Iris, or Barry. They'll be seen as someone like a Dinah Drake in Arrow, who was only brought in to replace Laurel, and that was literally the reason they came into the show. There was no other reason outside of that. So if Cisco is to leave, it will be interesting to see how they write him out. Obviously, the show's been hinting at it since, I think if he would have left or was going to leave, I think last season would have been the best time for him to leave, because they gave him the perfect chance to leave the show. Even when the season ended, people weren't even sure whether he was coming back next season. That's how, I wouldn't say how well they did it, but that's just how his story ended last season. It ended on a question mark, okay, is he coming back or is he gone? We weren't too sure. So I think he should have left last season if he was just going to leave this season anyway, because the story would have served it better. But you never know. Maybe they might introduce something in this back half. Maybe Cisco on his ventures since end of episode 10 and now up to the beginning of episode 14. Maybe he discovered something. Maybe he found a new life purpose. Maybe he wants to go do something which would allow him to be written out of the show, because then he would leave Central City. I've always had issues with people that leave the show but they're still in Central City. Like, what would they never check in? You know, that doesn't make sense to me. Even if they're in like a neighboring city, like only like half an hour away, they should like technically really appear every now and then. So I think if Cisco was to leave the show, the character would actually have to leave Central City. So this is like a watch this space situation, but this is very similar to the whole Curtis and Felicity thing. Two similar characters, and it didn't work when they were together, so they sort of had to keep them separate. So anyone that's saying, oh, they could both be on the show, not really, because they both would be in Star Labs and it wouldn't work. They'd have to be separated, because it'd be a clash of the exact same character. It didn't work on Arrow. They had to separate Curtis and Felicity. It wouldn't work on Flash with Chester and Cisco. It just wouldn't. And the next thing to go over is actually another upgrading of a cast member, but this time around is that of Allegra Garcia, played by Kayla Compton. No, not straight out of Compton, just Kayla Compton. Now, Allegra first appeared in the second or third episode of this season as a prisoner with like meta powers gained from the particle accelerator whilst in Iron Heights, along with her cousin Esperanza, who goes on to become ultraviolet through Black Hole. Now, this is much more surprising than the Chester upgrading, as Allegra has played into various storylines this season, but they've all come off as if she was just a character introduced to only serve a purpose for this season. So seeing her not only just included in next season, but upgraded to a main cast member is like pretty damn surprising. Now, you would have to assume that some stuff goes down, whether it be with Nash or another influence that sets her up for bigger and greater things come next season. But I guess another question that comes with this is whether this means that Nash is sticking around. Does that mean he's going to be sticking around next season if Allegra is, or is it going to be another version of Wells? Like, that means we have to introduce the multiverse again, or is Nash going to be like a Wells that we stick around with for a while, very similar to like Harry, who was there for multiple seasons? So that's interesting. Now, with this, it was very similar to the Chester, upgrading with the whole like Cisco leaving. As soon as this news came out, a lot of people were wondering, does this mean Caitlin's leaving? And this mainly, I think, is only tied to the fact that Danielle Panabaker is pregnant, because while Chester and Cisco are very similar, they're pretty much the same character, they serve the same purpose. Allegra and Caitlin are completely different. They don't serve the same purpose. Allegra's tied to the Iris side of things, while Caitlin's directly connected to Star Labs. So they serve different purposes. So there's no real correlation in regards to Caitlin leaving in regards to serving a purpose on the show. It's more filling a hole in the show, because Danielle Panabaker is pregnant and will be giving birth in only like over the next couple of months. So she'll be unavailable maybe for like the last handful of episodes this season, as well as maybe the first month or so of shooting for next season. So she'll be gone for around 6 episodes on either side of the season. So it'll be interesting to see how long she's gone for. But I'd be surprised if Danielle Panabaker left. I think she'll just be gone for a bit, and they'll probably create a storyline to explain why Caitlin's gone. But I wouldn't be expecting Allegra to really fill the hole that Caitlin's gone. If anything, if Cisco leaves, that means Camilla will go as well. So Allegra will just have more of a role in the Central City Citizen storyline and sort of take over some of Camilla's screen time in regards to that. So that's probably the most likely thing there. But they will have to do some stuff to fill in the hole where Danielle Panabaker is not going to be when she's on maternity leave once she has her baby. So yeah. Now, a lot of people are asking, what is Eric Wallace doing here? A lot of people aren't necessarily, I don't think they're necessarily like livid, like, oh my god, I'm going to burn the show down. But people aren't like the biggest fans of maybe Cisco leaving and maybe like the upgrading of these two characters. Now, I think what Eric is doing here is shaping the show how he wants to do it. He's already changed the structure of the show with like the graphic novel thing, where first half is its own villain, second half is its own villain. Sure, Arrow did it in season 2, but it hasn't been done for a while. So Eric's sort of bringing it back. He's claiming it as his own, so he's shaping the show how he wants to do it. And an important thing to note is that Chester P. Runk is a character he has always wanted to see in live action, so he's obviously going to give that character the screen time, try and give him the representation, I guess you could say, that he wants to do. And also Allegra, for those that don't know, Allegra Garcia is a character that's from the comics that Eric Wallace created. Allegra Garcia is from the Titans comics and was created when Eric Wallace was writing Titans back in the New 52. So it's a character he literally created, so he's obviously going to have some personal and I guess emotional connection to that character and want to see that character more on screen. So that's the thing that gives me hope that Allegra will be actually used in a very interesting and also worthwhile way, because Eric created the character. he has a connection to that character. So it doesn't make me think it's going to be that Allegra's going to be just put to the side and not have any sort of like proper development or anything like that. That's the thing that makes me think that while I don't think it's a fantastic idea because I don't really see where it's going, I have faith in Eric Wallace that he'll do a good job because this season has been very good. I think it's probably the third best season after season 1 and 2. So people might disagree with me, but that's my opinion in regards to that. So I think he's doing a really good job. So due to that and his connection to both of these characters, it shouldn't be an overly surprising thing that they're being up to the main cast and like a regular cast member status. So yeah. But yeah guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I'm interested to see how all of this goes down next season, and I'd like to hear all your opinions on it. If you enjoyed the video, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show support. Let me know in the comment section your stuff, and if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and yeah, catch you guys later. Goodbye.